Hi Ramona, let's take a look at your week 3 assignment 2 drawing. It's a really nice drawing being done. A lot of textural work that you're trying to get in place, cast shadows, and dealing with the background in a way that doesn't feel kind of bland or generic, and just even trying to get a little bit of color into it is just a nice touch. It's also an interesting object. It has a little bit more form to it than most people's do. It kind of goes beyond just the simple box-like structure, even though it is kind of very cube-like in nature. But having the puffier kind of the top and then the middle part is a nice touch, and having all these cast shadows and shading is also working out really well. I think that in terms of the value and things like that, it works good for me. If the light is coming directly from above, which I'm assuming it is, I think it works out great. And you have the darker value that moves to slightly darker to less dark, highlight on the top part, which is great, and there is a nice kind of sense of form to it. Perspective feels good where it's being applied. Cast shadow looks good when it's being applied on the ground plane as well, and the technique looks very good, overall. I think in terms of the next assignment and what you may want to be thinking about to just kind of clean up and develop a little bit more, obviously the environment I think can use more expansion and more development, maybe a textural element on the ground plane to create a little more visual interest. I think dealing with a slightly larger area if you want. You can think about the texture a little bit more as well and see if you can get it to, especially with the 1 point, it doesn't feel quite like it conforms to the form of the object as much as the 2 point does. I think the top part of this does very nicely, but the middle part and this part don't feel like they do, I think, quite as well. You can maybe reduce the amount of colored pencil and try to get what you can get done with the marker, especially towards kind of this middle area where I think the white tends to clash with the darker values that are in place. Not so much on the top because the top's lighter in value, but towards the bottom you have this darker value that's mixing with the gray or with the white colored pencil, and it doesn't mesh that well. White colored pencil is just really hard to integrate into a marker drawing in general, and I think if you're going to have it contrasting with darker values, it makes it even more difficult. I think other than that, it's working out really well. It's a nice object to work with, and I think it has enough challenges in place that it should keep it interesting as you move into the next assignment.